Today we're going to be talking about what I call spherical abundance. Most people think about abundance as solely financial, but there is a higher resonating, more joyful, and so much more deeply fulfilling form of abundance that the majority of people have no idea about. Spherical abundance is a new consciousness version of the abundance that people are familiar with. And now that the window to the new consciousness is open, spherical abundance is available to you if you have the key to access it. In this episode, we're talking about what spherical abundance is, why it's becoming accessible to us now, and the key to experiencing it. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part of this episode. The group frequency calibration at the end is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. So be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. My name is Karen Cheong, and today in Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, we're discussing spherical abundance.
Spherical abundance.
Yeah.
And spherical awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to have to wrap that up for me because it's like spherical. What do you mean by spherical?
Yeah. It's funny. I talk about spherical awareness in my GFCs. So if you've ever done any of my group frequency calibration meditations, at some point in the meditation near the beginning, I ask you to pay attention to your breath and then to imagine it expanding around you in all directions like a balloon. And I talk about you're starting to cultivate spherical awareness. And a lot of people are like, I don't know what that means. I keep saying, I'll tell you what it means in a minute, but not in the GFC. So I thought we'd address this now, right?
Because when you say that, I imagine this big balloon around me. Mm-hmm. And then I go, well, wait a minute, hang on. Maybe it's outside of me and it's a big balloon and I'm supposed to hold it.
Yeah.
Busy mind.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. So you're within it. And what I would say is, as you rise in frequency resonance, this is how your awareness becomes. It becomes spherical, meaning you're getting information from all directions around you. So,
okay, just pause there. I'm getting information from all around me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from behind me, above me, below me, beside, information being.
Yeah. I'll just back up and just for contrast. So in our culture, we're very linearly oriented, right? In order to get from this point, so point A to point B, we have to follow a sequence of steps.
Yeah.
And then we get to point B. It's the same for everything, whether it's a map, whether you're trying to get to success, whether you're trying to improve your relationship. It's like if you want to get from where you are to where you want to be, you have to take a progression of steps.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of our focus tends to be very linear, and that's the path.
Okay.
Okay. Like even the spiritual journey is talked about as if it's a singular path.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm not talking about forward movement. I'm talking about the linearity of it. Okay. Truly, the way that we are is spherical. So meaning our consciousness isn't linear. So there's this ability at the consciousness level to take in all kinds of information. So meaning feelings, awarenesses, creativity, even solutions. They're not necessarily linear. It's not like if you achieve one, then it will lead you to two. Do you see what I'm saying? It's more like, oh, this person showed up. I started doing 2 and I thought I was going to move to 3, but this person showed up with a whole new idea. And then now all of a sudden we're at step 7. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. And so really, that sphere, that image of the sphere means that, if you think about a sphere versus a line, think about how much more information comes from around you rather than in front of you. So you may not experience it as like, gee, I'm receiving it over my left shoulder. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like, and my left toe just activated. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that.
Well, that's what I imagined when you say that. I'm like, oh, right. So what? I'm going to feel it in my elbow?
Yeah. No, it's more like, instead of like purely gathering information and focusing it into a linear perspective, you're starting to be open and receiving, whether you're aware of it or not, in all directions, which means that you have different intuitions and that type of thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just thinking, so I'm imagining I'm sitting in my little chair because you've said in a previous podcast that our bodies are created by the spirit.
Spirit body.
Spirit body is creating the physical, and the spirit body is all around us.
Yes,
right?
the sphere. Yep.
All right. So I'm imagining I have a problem, and I'm trying to figure it out, linearly. But which I want to get to, if I figure out the way that I can do it spherically, which I'm hoping you're going to tell me.
Yep.
Right. I can just sit and then kind of go, oh, yeah, wait, right, that's that. Or I get an intuition to go check a book out that's about cooking when actually I have a problem about how to make a new pair of shoes.
Right.
But for whatever reason, there must be an answer in that cookbook.
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not linear. We did a whole episode on breaking out of the box, breaking free of linearity.
Yeah.
When we start to cultivate this spherical awareness, which is what you do even by imagining your breath expanding and contracting around you, you start to break that linearity, that conditioned form of thinking. And also with that conditioned form of thinking, it limits your ability to co-create. Because as you say, you're trying to fix your car and you're only looking at things about fixing your car. But then you could be reading something about, I don't know, candle making. And then in that, oddly, there's this like, oh my God, if I did this here, it would fix the car problem.
Yeah.
For example. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is, but that's a little, it seems random, but it's not. So my point is, as you rise in your frequency resonance, and it's funny, you have this ability to be more in the present moment and not as attached to finding a particular solution that looks like X, let's just say.
Yeah.
Okay? You know that you would prefer for whatever, let's imagine, for example, you have a project that you want to finish at work.
Yeah.
Okay? And the objective is to increase sales. So here you are, and you're like, okay, well, I need to make this number of cold calls. I need to reach out to my referral network. I need to, whatever it is I need to do. Okay, all these steps, which would seem to indicate that would lead you to increasing sales.
Yeah.
But it's funny, as your frequency resonance rises, instead of focusing on all those little discrete steps, you focus instead on the end feeling, you know what I mean? Of like, well, I would feel like whatever it is that you would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like more people get to experience whatever it is that I'm selling, more people are helped by it, more people, whatever it is. And then flashes of insight come in along the way of what would allow for that to happen. But it's not like a set step. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how spherical awareness starts to help you with not only getting to an outcome, but even in solving problems, right? You might have a problem that you think you have, but the oddest solutions come up in the weirdest ways.
Okay, so that's kind of like if I need the transmission fixed on my car and I know that I should go to this guy because he's really good, and I go there thinking I'm going to get the transmission fixed on my car, but then he says, well, I actually have a car similar year that, the cost of the transmission, you could buy this newer car and you wouldn't need to worry about the transmission.
That's right. Yeah.
And so how I get to this spherical awareness, which then imagine the two are linked, spherical awareness equals spherical abundance?
Yeah, they're very overlapping.
Okay.
So both of these things require that your frequency resonance is high enough, right? Everything, as I keep saying over and over again, has to do with how high your frequency resonance is. So the higher your frequency resonance is, the more you're able to be spherically aware. You know, it's not like you're necessarily thinking when you begin this journey, like, my number 2 objective in journeying with frequency work is to achieve spherical awareness. It's not like you're like thinking it like this necessarily. Unless you're very linear, which you may be, but it just sort of happens naturally.
Yeah.
And as a result, the reorganization that happens as your frequency resonance rises, as these non-linear solutions, opportunities, possibilities, synchronicities come in for you, the more you are able to experience what I call spherical abundance, which is what you asked about originally.
Yeah.
So what is spherical abundance? To me, spherical abundance is when you experience abundance on all the different levels, like in all directions around you. So meaning, a lot of us think of abundance for money, most of us, right? We think, okay, well, when I'm abundant, then I'll have X millions of dollars. I'll live in this house, have this car, have this wardrobe, have whatever it is that you think you have. Okay. But when I'm talking about spherical abundance, it's really all levels of abundance. So abundance on spirit level, abundance in your relationships, abundance in terms of your material experience, your ability to access the present moment, Like it's in all directions because it's reflecting the clarity that you are. And the clearer and higher you resonate, the more your field, which is that spirit body, arms like all around you, the sphere, starts to get stronger, brighter, and actually starts to get more expansive.
And I'm imagining as you're talking with this spherical abundance, because my resonance is clearer, brighter, stronger, that when I move into that spherical abundance, whoever I'm interacting with at that level, it would be a win-win.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yes. Yes, because what happens is when you start to embody spherical abundance, anybody who comes into your field starts to experience it too. Right? Because they're in the field, this very high resonating field that is you, without you doing anything. It's not like you've actually given them money. It's not like you're, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not like you're doing any of the linear things where you'd be like passing money from one place to another. It's more like they come into the field of resonance that is you in this high level order, and they're like, wow, this is kind of awesome. And then because it's a higher resonance, they want to entrain to it. Humans want to entrain to a higher level order. It's what we do. We like it. It's like, do you want to hang out with a person, generally speaking, who's happy and bright versus someone who's depressed and sad? Well, most people would choose the happier, brighter because it's more fun.
Yeah.
It's the same. They have a higher frequency resonance than the person who's sad, for example, or depressed or whatnot. Yes? So we want to entrain up, because the more we entrain up, the more we ourselves move up in our frequency resonance and we feel better.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So when they come into your field of spherical abundance, they start to experience more synchronicity in their life. They start to experience more flow, more ease. They just come into that field, touch it, and it starts to impact them because they're like, wait a minute, I know what this is. This is pretty awesome. No, they may not call it spherical abundance or awareness or any of those things, but it starts to impact them in terms of how they experience the world.
So if you're setting up a company and you're at this higher resonance and you're going to make massive profits, spherical abundance, you also, in a way, you're creating that abundance, but it's coming back to, okay, you're going to provide as much as you're going to create, right?
Yes.
I'm imagining that.
Yeah, it's true.
Because your requirement for that type of abundance, the linear type, just money, isn't there anymore, right?
Yes.
You understand that when everybody's abundant, you're abundant.
Yeah. And when you're abundant, everyone is abundant.
Yeah.
So that means that, and we're starting to see more and more companies that are sort of embodying this. Companies where the technology or whatever it is they're offering not only benefits them because someone purchases it and gives them money, it benefits the consumer because they receive the good or the service or whatever it is, but it also starts to affect the collective. So for example, the earth impact is better, or there's less pollution, or their frequency resonance rises, or it's creates, like more efficiency to help people to do something else or whatever it is. You see? So it's helping more than just the two people in the exchange. It's starting to help the collective.
Yeah, that's what I was really wondering, if that was part of the spherical abundance as well.
Because, and implicit in the sphericalness is that there is that reflection that we are one. So an equal. And as you move up in your frequency resonance and you realize your limitlessness, your ability to access that abundance that is infinite, that spirals, right? And you start to pass that on to other people. They start to experience it. Everyone starts to spiral up, in terms of resonance. Like everyone's benefiting. So now, you see, there's a momentum to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's summarize this. Spherical awareness is not sure.
Spherical awareness simply means that you're not attached to and bound to a linear outcome or focus.
Okay, say that again.
Okay, so
it means that you're not bound to a linear
outcome or focus.
Okay.
So meaning, you can start off with a linear focus. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a goal.
Got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. I would, like to create fill in the blank. Okay, so it like moves you in a certain direction. Because you need that focus to sometimes to move, to begin. Yes, so there's nothing wrong with linear focus. And if you include this perspective of spherical awareness, then it's not just about that linear focus. So now you're more open to collaboration, to inspired ideas, to someone who you didn't expect to have an idea, to be really somebody who contributes to in a way that you weren't expecting to whatever it is that you're creating. Or do you see what I'm saying?
Totally.
There's more of an openness, a fullness, so that everyone's starting to contribute in a way that helps the whole rise.
Okay, I get it now. So another way I would imagine it for myself is I'm thinking of a problem or an issue that I'm trying to find a solution for. I walk past a shelf, a book drops. Instead of just picking it up and putting the book away, I pick it up and go, wait, hang on. What's that?
Yeah, what's this book?
What's this book? Yeah. So that's part of the whole thing. You bump into somebody you haven't seen for months.
Yeah.
And you stop and you wait and you're like, this could be part of the solution.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. And you're not attached to the solution.
No.
You're not like stopping with every person you meet, you're like, maybe they have the key. Maybe they have the answer to my solution. Maybe they're what I'm looking for. It's not like that. It's not like you're like stalking people to find the outcome.
Have you got the answer?
It's more like you are noticing who it is you run into. And instead of being in a rush to like get to whatever it is you're doing, you're present in that moment with that person. And if it shows up as they present something to you that leads you in a different direction, then that openness is there because it just is allowing for something other than the linear to exist.
Got it. All right. Now I understand what spherical awareness is. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So if you'd like to clear some of the distortions that are keeping you from experiencing spherical abundance and spherical awareness, then I strongly recommend that you watch the group frequency calibration meditation associated with this particular episode, because that is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. And if you have really enjoyed this episode and would like to share it with someone else, please do. And if you hit the subscribe button below, you'll know when the next episode of Mastering Your World Through Frequencies becomes live. We're about to start the Group Frequency Calibration, or GFC, where we actually do the frequency work and where change is catalyzed. To get to the GFC, click on the square that'll appear to the right or the link in the description below. It's time to bring in a new experience, a new consciousness, and a new world. Let's rise together.